living the dream? It's time for truth. This is the place for tools, power, and real talk so you can create the life you dream and deserve. Your ultimate life. Subscribe, share, create. You have infinite power. Welcome to Your Ultimate Life. Good to see you here today. Thanks for being here with me. You know, we're on a binge over the last bunch of episodes about story, and I want to relate this to some stuff that's going on right now. I don't know if you follow the news, and I don't all the time, but there's certainly a lot of turmoil going on. Joy and I live in Canada, but we're both dual national, and we have lived in the U.S. We lived for many years in Phoenix. But anyway, you see people, different groups of people trying desperately to be heard, to influence public opinion, to influence elections, to change people's opinions, to broadcast hate or broadcast love. And I'm not going to go into different narratives that are happening right now, because that's not the purpose. The purpose of this show is not to get on anybody's case, but it's to love you and invite you and help you. Love, invite, and serve. I love you already. I don't need to know you. I don't need to see you. I love you, period. You, right here, that are listening to this. I love you. Now I'm inviting you. I'm inviting you to take control of your own life. Okay, we don't have a ton of influence on what the world does. You know, as I record this a few days ago, they had the big meeting in Switzerland with World Economic something, and all the big shots were there, and the newspaper or the news channel made a point, one of them did, of showing all the airplanes and the rich jets that they flew on, and it was funny. They showed an airport, like a commercial airport, only it was all private jets, and all the extreme wealth, you know, ostentatious flashery and all the rest. And some of it was pretty disgusting. They said, you know, they're flying in escorts on these things. Yuck. I'm not judging anybody, but to me, that felt yuck. But anyway, the point is this. There is narrative on lots of sides of lots of issues. And people are screaming, trying to get attention. Screaming, trying to change minds and to cause people to either be shamed. And, you know, someone goes into a restaurant and some other group goes in there and yells at them, or sometimes it gets to physical stuff. How awful. Okay? And I don't care who does that. That's not how we love and serve each other as humans. Unless, you know, we've decided that we're less than, right? I find at least most examples that I see when they default to that sort of thing, it's because they haven't got anything really to say that matters. And that's why I want to talk about that today. And that's this. Do you want to change the world? I don't care if you define the world as your neighborhood, your city, your state, or your province, your country, or the world at large. Do you have a yearning to do that? Most people who watch this show, Your Ultimate Life, thinking about creating a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy, want to change the world. So if you want to change the world, raise your hand. Good. I do too. My commitment this year is to do any and everything I can that's legal and right, to raise my voice, to help you pull out your superpower so you can change the world. My own journey has given me a particular gift because I had to pull out my superpower. My superpower is creative expression, language, words, coaching, loving, being patient, encouragement. I have those as superpowers. I have them in rich abundance, not because I'm magic. They have been given to me as gifts, and you have tons of gifts too. But every one of my gifts, as yours, has been earned through the school of hard knocks, through the school of brutal failure, of self-sabotage, of depression, of self-doubt, of struggle. And yeah, there were episodes that were dark, abuse and negative things, and that led to some addictions and all kinds of stories. And Many of you know them. I've told some of the stories, most of them at one time or another in all these episodes. And if you want more details, go read a book. It's called Tightrope of Depression. My journey from darkness, despair, and death to light, love, and life. Because that's where I live now, light, love, and life. My purpose every day is to love my beautiful angel wife with everything that I am. And then the two of us together to serve you with everything we've got, to love you, to lift you, to bless you, and help you realize that I don't care where you're at, where you've been, what's come before, what struggles there have been, you have the ability to create anything you want. You are loved, you are needed, and you matter. I find often in helping people find stories and find their voice and all the rest, that those are some of the first things we need to do. Because often when we've been through difficult things, we think we don't matter. Nobody loves us. Nobody would care. If they really knew what was, blah, 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 they wouldn't like me. We have that kind of feeling. That's not true. Okay? And it's just not true. I love you. I don't care what it is, in the closet or before. And here's why. Because I had a boatload of in the closet and before. And I have changed. I am not that person anymore. I've been working now for 18 years, since 2007. I had a divine intervention that woke me up. It didn't fix anything, but it slapped me around, woke me up. And I thought, you know what? I'm not that guy anymore. So I've been for the last 18, now going on 19 years, coming on 19, I guess, changing everything about it, how I show up in the world. And that's what's given me connection to the superpowers I have. You have them. I don't know what you're doing with them. But when I help people learn to find their superpower, the thing that they can use to make the most money, the most impact, and have the most fun, it's evident. Often we start first with the leftovers of those negative experiences. I suck. I'm not that good. Nobody would pay attention. Who cares what I did? I don't have a really good story. My life doesn't make that much difference. Nobody would listen to me. Who am I to tell this? And 100 other ways that genuine feeling of doubt and fear comes up. So let me tell you what I know about you. First, I know I love you. Second, I know you have the ability to create anything you want. You do. You've heard that before. We spent the last episode talking about the gift and a little bit about quantum physics and mechanics and all the rest. I'm not going to talk about that today. What we are going to talk about is how to use the story that you have. See, most people think, well, if I just had a bigger platform, if I just had 1 million followers, if I just had, had some stuff that went viral, man, yeah, then I'd be there. I'd have attention. That isn't what it takes. Those things are good. I looked on my music distribution thing, and I have 2 million streams, just under 2 million streams on some music. Wow, I'm singing and dancing. You know where that comes from? And, YouTube videos and all the rest. I'll tell you where it comes from. It doesn't come from luck, although there is a bit of luck hitting just the right thing. I was talking to Joy, my precious angel. You guys know I'm married to an angel. I have that. I am married to an angel. She walks on water. I was talking to her about Paulo Coelho. You may recognize that name. He's written a lot of books, but the one that he wrote that I really treasure is The Alchemist, which is a parable. A parable about a kid finding his purpose in life. And it's very well written and very good. But if you read the backstory of Paulo when he wrote it, he couldn't get it published. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted to publish it. Finally, somebody took a chance on it, and it didn't do very well. And so they, didn't want to keep publishing it, negative. But it was still out there. And then one day, somebody saw, I think it was one of the U.S. presidents, it might have been Bill Clinton, one of his better moments, back in the day, walking out of the White House with that book. And somebody asked him what it was, and he said it and so forth. And, that's like having a event like they have in England where they have the royalty, or in Denmark or wherever the royalty, and somebody's wearing a certain designer, and all of a sudden all that sells out online and in the stores and everything else, right? So because he was carrying that book, it took off, exploded. So that was a lucky blessing for that thing. And I love the book. I think it's great. I don't know if I would have found it if that explosion hasn't happened, although my finding it had nothing to do with that, but it became very popular. So those things can happen. And I'm going to tell you something that's 1,000 times more important than waiting and hoping for that magic moment. It is clarity. You don't need a bigger platform. You need a clearer story. I want that to sink in. You don't need a bigger platform. You need a clearer story. But what does that mean? When I work with people, and one of my favorite things to do is help people write their books. Why? Yeah, it's a business. Yeah, Joy runs a fabulous publishing house. Red Aussie Publishing. Best mid-tier publisher in the planet. Absolute best. She does more for her clients than anybody I've ever even seen or heard of. But anyway, Red Aussie Publishing. The thing that I love doing about the story is helping connect you to the power of your story. And when you do that, if I ask you, okay, what's your story? So many people, I can't even count, endless numbers of people say to me, I help people step out of their own way, step into their own power, overcome negative beliefs, get rid of self-sabotage, reprogram their mind, mind shifting, and all these new cool names that are really saying the same thing, which is, I help you stop sabotaging your own growth and connect to your superpower, your rocket engines, your blast off gear, right? And I don't doubt that any of those people have a set of things or system that they believe accomplishes that result. But if that's true, why are they all broke? Why are all the people, or nearly all, not all, there's an exception, there's a group, and that group has some common characteristics, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. How come they're not wealthy? How come the world isn't completely changed if they have that power? Well, I'll tell you why. They have not finished their own work. First of all, if I am going to help you, I tutored math when I was in college. And my tutoring of math, I had a math scholarship, and I was a year ahead of most math students. I started in third semester calculus when I got to college instead of first semester, et cetera, et cetera. So then I got a job tutoring math, and then I had another job correcting papers, math homework for professors. My ability to do that they hired me because I knew that really well. I could do that with absolute confidence and do a good job, right? Most people, when they tell their stories, or they claim their power, or they say, I can help you do this, that, and the other, they don't have a compelling story. So I don't believe it. I don't feel called. I don't feel yanked into that. I know you can help me. I got to have this. That's why I say you don't need a bigger platform. You need a clearer story. The thing that brings you success, whether it's wealth in getting clients and so forth, whether it's impact, changing the world the way you want to, or whether it's personal meaning, so you feel like you're really adding good to the world, is clarity in your story. So when I ask people, what do you do? Here's what I hear. I heard somebody, they say the other day, I'm the best in the world, absolute best in the world. No one touches me at getting unstuck. Like what? What does that mean? I'm stuck, unstuck, so what? Like people pay you or pay me for coaching in this realm of personal growth not just to get unstuck or whatever other framing. I'm not picking on that person. Whatever other framing there is, they want a result. They want to create an outcome that matters, that means something to them. And when you or I talk to them, we have to have a clear path to that outcome. Getting unstuck assumes that I know I'm stuck and that I know where I'm going and what I'd do if I wasn't stuck and what unstuck even looks like. Well, that conversation has to happen. And if you're using social media, which you can do or you don't have to do, it has to happen in what you share. Because otherwise, there's no bridge between what a person thinks they need and what you say you do or what you create. So there's a myth, and the myth is that visibility comes first. Well, if I just get a big platform, then I'll have followers and then I'll get clients, etc. Nonsense. Clarity is the real leverage point. When you are clear. So when I say to someone, I can help you pull out your superpower so you can create wealth as much as you define, impact as big as you want, and meaning in your own life. Because you know your superpower is your best ability to do that. You're free to use your half power or your not superpower, other stuff that you're not as good at, but it's not going to have the same impact. Your superpower is the thing that you leverage. It creates exponential growth. So let's pull that out. And then let's create wealth, impact, and meaning. Wealth, impact, and meaning. And then questions. What would wealth look like to you? What would more money help you do? What would you no longer have to do? What kind of impact do you want? Who do you help? Why? And getting into that deeply allows the person I'm talking to, whether I'm talking in person or I'm talking to you through a podcast or a social post or at a networking meeting or giving a talk at a conference, all of which I do regularly, you have to be able to find yourself in the story and follow it. Follow it through to your outcome, not mine. See, if we just tell stories about our own growth and opportunity, we're asking the listener to build a bridge between my success or yours. You tell me, this is where I was, this is what I did, wow. I'm supposed to build a bridge between my struggle, my problem, and your success. Doesn't work. Once upon a time, 10, 15, 20 years ago in marketing and online, it did work. People said, well, I just assumed that, you can help you and these people, you can help me. That used to work. Doesn't work anymore. So stop doing it. Okay? Get clear. When I ask people, what is your superpower? 99%, I was going to say 9 out of 10, 99 out of 100, maybe 97 out of 100. Can't even answer that question. Cannot answer that question. They can't tell me with any confidence what their superpower is. Well, I help people, and they use the words like, well, and yeah, that tone of voice. There's no clarity in that. There's no power in that. So clarity is first. Now, as you keep, as we keep on the personal development path, our ability to articulate things is going to get stronger. The number of examples we have grows, and we have more sharper and more powerful descriptions. But we have to start as sharp as we can. I mean, that's one thing I have acquired as a superpower through my own journey. See, my own journey gave me that superpower because I couldn't do that either to start with. I was terrible at it. I could not give a compelling description of what it was that I could help you, whoever you are, do. And you know where that description comes from? It comes from mining your life story, your own developmental journey. Because whatever it is that you're going to help me do, you know how to do that really well. Why? Because you went through it. Because you stumbled, struggled, got help, didn't get help, doesn't matter. You came out on the other side victorious. I know this work that we are about developing ourselves is a mountain without a top, and that's okay. But you've gone through a valley of sorrow or night of the soul or whatever you want to call it. You've gone through that. You come out the other side and you have a bunch of learnings from that journey. Now, those learnings won't help everybody. They'll help a certain group of people who resonate with your story and your journey. You know that. Just like you resonate with certain people, so does everybody else. But our ability to clearly describe the journey, the learnings, and the value is what is the power in your clarity. The learnings is what you learned. Your journey is first. The learnings is what you got out of that journey. What did you learn? What can you now do you couldn't do before? And then the power. So, and here's that. So there's your journey, there's your learnings. And then when you communicate power, it's like, here's this set of learnings, and here's what it helped me do. And here's how I know I can help you. So if I were to say that to you, here's what I know I can help you do. I can help you go through your life journey in a way you've never done before. Promise. I can help you extract powerful, earth-changing, money-making learnings from that journey. And I can help you create the power you need to build platforms, to build products, services, workshops, coaching practices, speaking, whatever it is you want to do with that set of learnings. So we can find your journey, find the power learnings, which are your superpower, and then turn those into, guess what? Wealth, impact, and meaning, as you define it, not as I define it. What I've become a world-class expert at is helping people do that, because I know all the pitfalls. I know the excuses. I've used most of them, and I've seen the rest. So if you really want to take that journey, figure out how your life changed you and how you can use it to change the world, wealth, impact, and meaning, let's chat. Okay, the best way to do that is to go to DreamBuildWriteIt.com, DreamBuildWriteIt.com, and join that challenge, because that challenge is about learning to identify your story, write a book, create products, services, and change the world, just like you want to do, right? All right, now let's talk a minute about platforms. I said, you don't need a bigger platform. You need a clearer story, and that is the leverage point. Now, I'm not pretending big platforms don't help. I have a friend who had a particular social post that went viral, went absolutely viral, millions of views, etc. And so as a residual tail from that, he has a large following. And as a residual, not just from that viral thing, but because of the clarity and the story, he's made millions of dollars in programs, in merch sales, and in all kinds of ways. It's fabulous. But it wasn't the platform. It was after the platform, the clarity of the story created the power. And the Bill Clinton moment when his post went viral, and when Clinton walked out of the White House with Coelho's book, those things happen or they don't, and they do not affect your ability to win. They might affect the scale and the timing, of course, but they don't affect who you are, what you mean, and the wealth, impact, and meaning that you can have. Okay? I'll give you another example that there are legend. When Oprah Winfrey has a media empire, and she's created a lot of money and is a big name. When she had the Oprah Winfrey show, people were dying to have a moment, have their interview on Oprah. I can tell you there are some few who had that time on Oprah and have parlayed it into big things. I think Dr. Phil's one. I think Dr. Oz might be one. I think there's some more. There are legions of those who had it, who weren't prepared, who couldn't follow it up with clarity and preparation. And so they had their big moment and faded into nothing. Yesterday's news. The platform doesn't make the magic. It's good fuel. I'm not pretending it's not cool to have something go viral. What I'm saying is, if your clarity and power isn't there, if you're not clear about your superpower and what you can do, if you're not clear about why it matters, why I need you, not anybody else, then you got nothing. You got jack. Now, here's another terrifying thing. That is triply true in the age of AI. AI right now is going to replace all the coaches. 95% of coaches won't have a job by Christmas. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll only be 92%. Maybe it'll be 98%. I don't know. But most of them will be out of business. Why? Because the AI is getting so good at providing coaching and help that most of what passes for coaching today won't even matter anymore. And this is where your story matters, because your story is your unique power. That's all you've got. Everything else you've learned, I don't care what teaching or leadership or coaching methodology you've learned, it's all going to be obsolete unless you are the absolute living embodiment of that thing. Like you walk into a room and people can feel bleeding out of your pores and beaming out of your bright face the truth of the transformation you teach. Because without that, you're toast. You're toast. Now, I know, I just heard, I didn't see it. I heard that Tony Robbins, who most of us know, created a coaching bot, released not too long ago, $100 a month, $99 a month. Oh, I get Tony Robbins for $99 a month. Now, it's not going to be the same as if you were personally with him, but it's going to eviscerate coaching practices. I'm creating a bot coached by Kellan. Okay, it'll be ready in a month or so. Wow. Why am I doing that? Not to replace me, but to give clients another benefit between sessions. The opportunity to have something valuable in between. Okay? Now, let's go back to story. Where do you or I get the power that makes the difference? Right? Where do you get the power that makes the difference? Because AI is going to write better, speak better, do it faster, and it's available all the time. So where do we get the power? Some people brush it off and say, well, people want human interaction. Well, there's some of that. But they're not going to be paying you $10,000 a month or $5,000 a month to have a few conversations just for the human interaction. It's not going to happen. There has to be something real. And what is that? It is the truth of your story. If the truth of your own transformation, as you discover in your story, doesn't bleed out of your pores and leak out of your face, it's not going to work for me or you or anybody else. All the rest of that stuff is going to be gone. And I'm actually really grateful, because a lot of what has passed for coaching right now is trash. It's teaching with a bit of accountability follow-up. That's going to be useless. AI can do better accountability follow-up anyway. So here's the key. Your clear story will build its own platform. The truth of your becoming is the power that AI can't have. Okay? People that are not, if you are not connected with the truth of your story, where you know the principles, the superpower it gives you, and you're clear about that, people end up polishing tactics instead of truth. We avoid, if we do that, the harder work, much harder work of integration. We have to become something new if we're going to help other people become something new. And if you're trusting a platform, what you're doing is you're hoping that scale will somehow solve uncertainty. That if there's a lot of followers, well, I'll get a few. That'll camouflage over the truth of your lack or my lack of real growth, of really becoming the truths that we have learned from our journey. So let's go back. Your ability to have power that burns walls, that shapes rooms, that draws people like a magnet, comes from your truth and integrating, becoming the truth. So your journey has taught you certain things, all true. Getting clear on exactly what you've learned, exactly what you've become, why it makes a difference, and how that difference shows up in the world is the new currency of the future. Everything else is second rate. Everything else is going to be eliminated. And we as a species, we're done. There's so much noise. We need authenticity, right? We need that. You know that. I know that. We need it. We crave it. We yearn for it because there's so much baloney in the world, everywhere, all the time, all over the place. We're sick to death of it. If you want to create wealth, if you want to create impact, and if you want to create personal meaning, so you live that ultimate life that this whole podcast series is based on, you and me and anyone, we have to look at the developmental story of our lives. We have to get clear on the events. We have to get clear on the meaning, how we interpret them. And then we have to integrate those truths in our lives. In other words, we have to become those things, because otherwise we're just talking about something over there. You know, that is really true, and it's really helpful. If you do that, I'm sure it'll be valuable. Blah. Vomit on the rug, right? There's nothing about that valuable, especially in the age of AI. The only thing that's going to matter is the truth and clarity of story. So that means you got to get clear on your own life journey. You got to know exactly what it has taught you, and you have to be that. You have to be able to demonstrate, not by your words, but by your walk, that you are that thing, those principles. How I do that for me, I've shared that in all my books, and I'll tell you a couple right now. The book Living with Purpose and Power is a book about how to do what I've done, which I'll share with you. The most important thing I've done to be that, check my journey, figure out what it taught me, create the principles, and then embody them, is to create a document, a PTAC, personal truth and commitment document that says, for my own self, it's not for sharing, no approval or whatever. It says who I am. It says what I am committed to, no matter what, because I choose it. Like I said, it's not to brag. It's not for saying cool words that other people go, ooh, wow, that sounds cool. I've never shared my documents except in that book. And the reason I did there is because I'm trying to help people understand how to be that embodiment. And this was the way I used. I created a document that declared who I am. And I use that document every single day of life to prepare myself to talk to you, to create podcasts, to coach, to interact with my precious angel, to live in purpose, prosperity, and joy. Because I have now learned that we do create our lives. We literally create it moment to moment, choice by choice, commitment by commitment. And that is the most beautiful thing, because what that means is, even if we've been giving our power away, our power of creation for decades, like I had, we can do two things. We can reframe our present by reinterpreting the past. We talked about that last episode. You can literally change who you are right now. You're not stuck at this place of who you are. You can review and reinterpret and re-understand the past. There's no pretense in that at all. It's no pretense. It's how the memory works. It's how mind works. And it's how quantum physics works. And if you want to have a convo about that, get a hold of me. KellanFlukigerMedia.com. There's a contact form. So I created that document, and I use that document every single day to remind me who I am and to recommit. And anytime I make a mistake, I have a declaration piece that says anytime I fail or fall in any declaration, I get up, fess up, clean it up, and recommit. Why? Because I said so. It's who I want to be. And what I found is creating those documents, and you can see them. Again, the book is Living with Purpose and Power. It has absolutely changed my life. It's given me all the wealth, impact, and meaning that I can possibly imagine. Every day is exciting. Every day is fun. I love you. I love myself. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love my grandkids. I love every one of my clients. And I live in that state of perpetual joy. And if you knew where I came from and all the stuff that's in the past, you would say, holy crap, what a journey. And the thing is, mine's not any better or more special than yours. You have all the power in the world. You have the capability to create anything you want, but you got to do the work because it ain't going to do itself. right? It's like watching YouTube. If I watch somebody do 1,000 push-ups, my arms don't get bigger. I might get tired watching them, but certainly don't grow my shoulders. So here's the thing I want you to think about. You have an infinitely valuable story. Your worth is infinite. Your capability is infinite. You're a creator. You're a divine being. Those are facts. The only question is, what are you going to do with that? Now that you know this, how are you going to stop this moment giving away your power and claim it? And by that, I mean reinterpret past events. End the idea of victimhood. If that had just not friggin' happened, I'd be okay. Nonsense. The help we need to get past that's available. I've done it. I know many have. I can help you do it if you want. Remember, the thing that you and I have that's most powerful is that journey we've taken. Every person that has that yearning to help, to serve, to lift, to bless, always gets it from their own life experience, their past. That's the place. So I want to invite you more than anything to go to the place. I'm going to give you a URL here. That's the place where I can help you find your story, get clarity, crystal, absolute clarity, and then help you create wealth, impact, and meaning. Now, maybe you don't want any more wealth, and maybe you've got all the impact you want, and maybe you've got all the meaning in your life you can stand. I don't know, but I doubt it. And if this resonates with you, wealth, impact, and meaning at a scope and scale you haven't imagined yet, here's the URL, DreamBuildWriteIt.com. DreamBuildWriteIt.com. I periodically hold these challenges. They're 5 days. The challenge itself doesn't cost anything, except it does cost your attendance. I can help you understand how to create your story out of your life, how to find the principles and truths that it has taught you in a unique way that's like nobody else, and then how to create power from those principles and experiences. Why would that matter? So you can create wealth, impact, and meaning. Wealth is whatever you decide it is. I know someone right now who says, I'm making money. I could make twice as much, but it would cost me some time, and I don't want to do that. So wealth, the size of that is at your discretion. The impact is also at your discretion, because like we talked about at the beginning, platform doesn't equal impact. Clarity equals impact. Wealth, impact, and meaning. Now, you and I both know when we do stuff that really matters, we feel good, we feel valuable, and we want to do it again. Wealth, impact, and meaning are yours if you will do the work. DreamBuildWriteIt.com. Join me. Love to see you there. We can get you moving faster and further down the path to create your own life.
Never hold back, and you'll never ask why. Open your heart, and this time around.
Right here, right now. Your opportunity for massive growth is right in front of you. Every episode gives you practical tips and practices that will change everything. If you want to know more, go to KellanFlukigerMedia.com. If you want more free tools, go here, YourUltimateLife.ca. Subscribe, share,